Morro Bay, there are 3 places right now on the Central California coastline that are being considered for what's called an operations and maintenance port. These are the ships that will come in. They will go out for 2 weeks to repair the wind turbines. And if you look right now, so the 3 I'll tell you about in a moment, but this is where the intake yard is, right here, the intake building for the power plant. And they are proposing to build a multi-purpose wharf in Morro Bay. Company, as you guys know, Reach actually did this one. Now let me see. There we go. Okay. All right, the number of ports required. Let me see if I can get this a little bit clearer here. The number of ports required. Let me see. Back over. There we go. We are in consideration right now for operations and maintenance ports. So right here are operations and maintenance, and they say that on the Central Coast we are ultimately going to need 10. We are going to be starting with 8. Wow. The harbor requirements for operations and maintenance, 9 to 16 berths. Dredge to 25 feet minimum at the berths. One of the ships actually has a 48-foot draft that they're talking about. They would prefer, if the harbor is protected, they need 2 to 10 acres of land. And this is where Morro Bay has a problem, because we have that power plant property sitting there, and Vista would love to have Equinor come in and use part of that property. They need a 300-foot wharf. They would prefer to have it within 31 miles of the call area. By gosh, Morro Bay is 33 miles from the call area. We are the closest to the call area. The 3 ports, I think this is interesting. Morro Bay is one of them. The other 2 I would call the same port. One of them they are looking, this is Avila Beach, Port San Luis. They're looking at the Port San Luis Pier as a possibility, and the 3,000-foot Cal Poly Pier as another possibility. Remember, they're saying they need 8 to 10 of these in the Central Coast of California. And part of the problem with Port San Luis and Cal Poly Pier is it doesn't have land totally adjacent to the port site. Another thing, and this is a totally off-the-record kind of thing, but I went to a California Coastal Commission last September or October in Imperial Beach, and there were 2 fellows who did not look like they belonged at the California Coastal Commission. They were wearing Armani. And so I thought, those are the people I want to sit behind and listen to. They were talking about, however, wherever they bring in the port in the Central Coast, Amazon wants to bring in a shipping port. Because right now, Amazon is shipping into Seattle, Washington, because Port of Long Beach, Port of Los Angeles are swamped. So anyway, and there is a huge Amazon facility now in Visalia, and they're improving the roads to get to Visalia. I may be just a little cynical. So operations and maintenance requirements, according to AB 525, they need to have warehouses, offices, spare parts storage. This will involve shipping containers with cranes. It's a marine facility, so think of a cruise ship port, because one type of ship, the surface operations vessel, actually will have people going out for 2 weeks on it. It has a cafeteria, it has a gym, it has a video area. It is a full cruise ship. The big difference is it has a huge maintenance facility on it also. So they need to have power, water, effluent dumping, fuel. There are 3 vessel types that would be coming into this port. Crew transfer vessels, those would be the daily. They'd have about 40 people on them. Service operations vehicles, they would be 2 weeks out. They have about 60. They need 1 service operations vehicle for every 100 turbines minimum. And then there are service accommodation transfers vessels. These might be, they'll stay out overnight a couple of days if they need an extra crew out there. The other thing we need to really think about, is these ports have to be secure. So security. So again, this is right now what the current waterfront is. Reach did this proposal. As you can see, the Morro Bay intake building. And what I really want you to notice here, excuse me for stepping in front, is where this parking is right here. Because guess what? That's going to disappear. Also notice the parking behind the intake building. This is going to disappear. Whoops, somehow I missed that piece. Okay, I'll come back, I'll show you. I always like to compare things to things we've all seen. The Aquina dredge is about 200 feet long, according to its captain. It drafts 9 feet when empty. It drafts 16 feet when full. And they dredge the mouth of the channel to be 40 feet. And the entrance from Target Rock to the North T Pier, they do not dredge nearly as deep. Again, operations and maintenance, 2 to 10 acres, 300 feet long pier. Minimum draft at the berth where they're going to park these boats will be 20 to 30 feet. They need to have a wharf that will hold 100 to 500 pounds per square foot. And by the way, I went to a Board of Supervisors meeting and Dawn Ortiz led when I talked about these ports. She goes, "Oh, Rachel, they're just going to bring in small little boats, not a big deal." This is a small port. Now compared to the ones they're building in Long Beach to build these that are like 1,500 foot long docks, this is small, but this is bigger than anything Morro Bay has ever had. You know what? I think I'm going the wrong way. Again, I will go over this more, the 3 types of vessels. Notice the service operating vessels. The length is 200 to 400 feet. Yakita is 200 feet long. So this would actually be, when you double the length, you double the width. This ship would be 4 times bigger than the Yakina if they bring in the largest one possible. Jones Act, the Merchant Marine Act of 1920, vessels traveling between U.S. ports must be owned and crewed by U.S. citizens, built in the United States, registered under the U.S. flag. One of the things they're pointing out, especially in Louisiana, is every time they build one of these ships, they give them about $600, 600 people. The Avenger is a fishing boat. Again, I'd like to compare the size. It is 65 feet long. It is 19 feet wide. The ship we're going to see in a minute, the surface operations vehicle called the Echo, Edison Echo. It is Orsted. They talked about them on the previous film. It is the first surface operations vessel built in the United States. It is 4 times longer than this ship and 4 times wider, which means it's 16 times bigger. Wow. So remember that fishing boat in the harbor? The boats they're proposing to bring in would be a minimum of 16 times bigger. Papagayo, again, 72 feet long. They're looking at bringing in 260 feet to 400 foot boats. And you guys who are in the fishing industry, you know what this looks like. The crew transfer vessel, these will be 40 people. They'll be about 65 to 90 feet, so in the Avenger Papagayo. Their draft is 5 to 10 feet. And these would be bringing in people, daily crew. This is a crew transport vessel. I don't know, whoops, I'm going to come back here. I stepped too far away here. Anyway, let me see here. This is a crew transport vessel. This is, and you notice it has a flat front to it here. And the reason it has a flat front to it is so that it can hold those shipping containers. So we will become a shipping container port. Avila would become a shipping container port. This is the service accommodation transfer vessel. They even show some shipping containers on it. These would be 100 to 130 feet long. Again, bigger than Papagayo. Draft is 10 to 16 feet. And it is designed for maybe crews to go out for 2 to 3 days. They need to get a specialty crew out. They need to get parts out. Now, I want you guys to imagine the next ship. The Surface Operations Vessel, AB 525, requires that operations and maintenance ports accommodate these vessels. It's not optional, it is required. Okay, let me see here. Here we are, 200 to 400 feet long. Take a look right now. This one is 4 stories above. And wait till you get to see the picture. The draft is 16 to 25 feet. That's what's underwater, right? Am I correct there? They're going to be up to 80 feet wide and up to 400 feet long. And these vessels will be out on site for 2 weeks, and then they come in. They say that one berth can probably handle 2 of these vessels because they can hot swap times. But we also have 3 energy companies that don't want to share space. Okay, so now this looks like a bathtub toy to me, right? We can just float it in the bathtub. Here we are. That's the bathtub toy. That is the first one built in the United States. It is only 260 feet long. It's not the maximum of 400. And by the way, if you really have great eyesight, that's a cute person up there.
So they're out for 2 weeks. How long do they come in for before
They're hoping to get them out within 6 hours. They need to pump them out. They need to also, just like a cruise ship, they've got to bring in all the food. They've got to take out all the garbage. They have to hook up into water. They have to pump out the black water and the gray water.
Is this what's happening in the East Coast?
Yes. Yeah. This one was actually designed for the East Coast. And I don't think for some reason my video is going to work. Okay.
Keep in mind, there's only like 12 wind turbines out right now on the East Coast. Only 12.
All right. I'm not sure why.
They had a bunch of these.
All right. I'm not sure why my photo did not show up here. It is odd. Let me see if I can find it. You know what? For just a second, let me check that I ran up on internet, but maybe I'm no longer. Let's see what I have. Okay, my internet shut down. Can I get on yours really fast? Perfect. I'm sorry wasting your time here. I really want you to see the video. This ship is humongous. It has about a 48-foot draft. Fisher people, can we hold 48 feet draft in Morro Bay?
Oh, not even close. They'd have to dredge at least 20 feet from what it is now.
Yeah, I should be able to connect to your Bluetooth. What is yours? Okay, let me recheck.